In the vast expanse of the galaxy, where civilizations spanned countless star systems and advanced species boasted unimaginable technology, Earth was little more than a cosmic afterthought. Among the interconnected planets of the galactic assembly, Earth was a joke. Its people were often dismissed as primitive, emotional, and entirely unremarkable. The planet, with its blue oceans and green lands, was affectionately and mockingly referred to as the sleepy blue dot. It was in this context that Logan Pierce, a young human xenobiologist, found himself aboard the Celestera, one of the most prestigious starliners in the galaxy. The massive vessel was a floating city in space, carrying diplomats, scientists, and nobles from hundreds of species. It shimmered like a jewel against the black void, a testament to interstellar engineering. To Logan, it was both awe-inspiring and intimidating. The humans aboard the Celestera were few, and Logan was the only one assigned as a cultural envoy. It wasn't exactly an honored position. In truth, humans were rarely invited to such gatherings, but the Galactic Assembly had made a token effort to include them. Logan had been selected not for his status. He had none, but for his expertise in alien biology and culture. As Logan strolled through the ornate halls of the Starliner, he could feel the curious stares of alien passengers. Some of them whispered in languages his translator struggled to process. A group of alien women, their appearance striking and diverse, sat near one of the observation decks. They were clearly of high status, their clothes shimmering with bioluminescent threads and adorned with symbols of power. When they noticed Logan, their hushed conversation turned into laughter. "Is that a human?" one of them asked, her voice musical yet tinged with amusement. "It must be," another replied, her elongated fingers pointing in his direction. "So small, so fragile-looking. How do they even survive their own planet?" Logan paused, pretending not to hear them. He had grown used to such comments. Humanity's reputation in the galaxy was far from flattering. Most species viewed Earth as an evolutionary backwater, a place where nature had not yet perfected its craft. Humans were seen as physically weak, emotionally unstable, and technologically behind the curve. But Logan wasn't one to let ridicule shake him. He adjusted his coat and approached the observation deck, standing just close enough to the group to make his presence known. "Beautiful view, isn't it?" he said, gesturing toward the sprawling nebula visible through the transparent wall. The alien women exchanged amused glances. One of them, who had emerald green skin that shimmered like silk, leaned forward. "It's beautiful, yes. But tell me, human, does it not make you feel insignificant?" Logan smiled, refusing to take the bait. "It reminds me that even the smallest things can contribute to something vast and magnificent," he replied. The women laughed again, though this time it was softer, almost intrigued. "Such poetic words," said the green-skinned woman. "But words don't change reality. Your people are limited. How do you expect to keep up with the galaxy when your species is so far behind?" Logan's smile didn't falter. "Sometimes being underestimated is an advantage," he said. "It keeps people from seeing what you're truly capable of." The response caught them off guard. For a moment, they were silent, studying him as if seeing him for the first time. Then, one of the women, whose crystalline hair reflected the starlight, tilted her head. "You're bold for a human," she said. "I'll give you that." Logan nodded politely and stepped away, leaving the group to their discussion. As he walked down the corridor, he couldn't help but chuckle to himself. He had long accepted that humanity's place in the galaxy was one of humility, but he also knew something the galaxy often forgot. Humans were adaptable, resilient, and full of surprises. Far from Earth, aboard a ship filled with species that saw themselves as superior, Logan felt no shame. Instead, he felt a quiet determination. Earth might be the sleepy blue dot, but he knew it was only a matter of time before humanity woke up and made its mark on the stars. Unbeknownst to Logan, his presence aboard the Celestia would soon set off a chain of events that would challenge everything the galaxy thought it knew about humans and about him. Logan Pierce had always been an outsider. Even among humans, his fascination with alien cultures and biology set him apart. While other humans preferred Earth's comforts, Logan had spent years studying the complex ecosystems of distant planets, learning their languages, and understanding their unique ways of life. But aboard the Celestia, he felt more like an oddity than a guest. Most of the passengers aboard the Starliner were either too busy with their own political agendas or too superior to care about the one human among them. But Logan wasn't bothered by the silence that followed him wherever he went. He had grown accustomed to it over the years, and he knew that even if he were invisible to the aliens, his work would eventually speak for itself. It was on the third day of the voyage that Logan's presence was truly acknowledged. The Starliner had entered a region of space known for its unusual phenomena, a swirling mass of gas clouds, pulsating light, and unpredictable magnetic fields. The ship had passed through this area countless times, but this time, something went wrong. The first sign came when the Celestia began to tremble. A low hum filled the corridors, vibrations running through the walls. Then the lights flickered. There was no panic, no chaos, just a quiet unease. Logan had been in his quarters, reviewing some of the data he had collected from his previous research, when the tremors started. His mind immediately went to work. He understood the potential dangers of this region, having studied similar phenomena during his years of training. The ship had likely entered a magnetic storm, one that could disrupt the sensitive systems on board. He quickly grabbed his gear and made his way to the central control room. The corridors of the Celestia were eerily quiet, with most passengers retreating to their rooms. As Logan reached the control room, he saw the alien crew scrambling. They were clearly trained, but even they seemed unsure of how to handle the situation. The captain, a tall being with iridescent skin and 6 arms, was barking orders. His alien physiology allowed him to multitask in ways humans could never match, but even he was flustered. The magnetic storm was affecting the ship's systems, and the crew was struggling to stabilize the ship. Logan entered the control room and approached the captain, who glanced at him briefly before returning to his work. "I can help," Logan said, his voice calm but firm. The captain looked at him with mild surprise, clearly not expecting a human to offer assistance. "This is a matter of advanced technology," he said, "not something you can fix with human ingenuity." Logan didn't argue. He simply moved to the console and began scanning the ship's systems. He knew that in situations like these, the solution wasn't always about the most advanced technology. Sometimes it was about understanding the fundamentals of how things worked. Using a combination of Earth-based and alien technology, Logan was able to trace the source of the disruption to a magnetic field anomaly within the storm. The ship's systems were being overloaded by waves of electromagnetic interference, causing them to malfunction. He quickly suggested a plan: reroute the ship's power from the non-essential systems to the shields and communications array. It wasn't the most elegant solution, but it was effective. The alien crew had been so focused on the complexity of their high-tech systems that they had forgotten the simple approach. With Logan's guidance, they implemented the changes, and slowly, the tremors began to subside. The ship's systems stabilized, and the captain let out a sigh of relief. "Well, that was unexpected," the captain muttered, shaking his head. Logan smiled, but there was no time for a lengthy conversation. He turned to leave the control room, but the captain stopped him. "Wait, human," he said. "You've proven yourself useful." That was impressive. Logan nodded politely but didn't linger. He had made his point. He was no longer just a curiosity on the ship. He had shown that his knowledge, though different from the advanced alien technology surrounding him, could be just as valuable. As he walked down the corridor, he couldn't help but think about the alien women who had laughed at Earth's perceived weakness. Their mockery had only fueled his resolve. He had not only helped save the ship, but had also proven that humans, despite their reputation, had a unique form of ingenuity. Back in the observation deck, Logan spotted the group of alien women once more. They were no longer laughing. Instead, they were talking in low voices, their expressions more thoughtful than before. One of them, the emerald-skinned woman who had mocked him earlier, turned and caught his eye. She hesitated before speaking, her tone more respectful than before. "You've done well, human. I admit, we underestimated you." Logan didn't smile, though he felt a quiet satisfaction. "It's not about being underestimated," he replied. "It's about doing what needs to be done." As the women fell silent, their eyes following him as he walked past, Logan realized that this was just the beginning. The galaxy might still see humanity as an underdog, but Logan knew that Earth's true strength lay in its ability to adapt and overcome. And as long as there were humans like him, the rest of the galaxy would learn to respect Earth, not for its technology, but for its spirit. After the magnetic storm incident, the Celestera settled into a peaceful journey once again. The tremors had ceased, and the alien passengers resumed their daily routines. However, something had changed. The way the crew and passengers looked at Logan Pierce was different now. Gone was the dismissive attitude, replaced by a newfound respect, though it was unspoken. Logan, for his part, kept to himself. He didn't care about the recognition. It wasn't why he was aboard the Starliner. His mission was to observe and learn, to gather knowledge about the different species he would encounter, and to represent humanity as best he could. But even so, he couldn't help but notice how the other passengers were slowly warming up to him. One afternoon, while sitting in the Starliner's observation room, Logan overheard a conversation among a group of alien women. They had gathered around a table, sipping on strange drinks and chatting in their musical languages. At first, Logan was content to let them talk, but then one of them spoke in a tone that caught his attention. "I still don't understand," the green-skinned woman, whom Logan had encountered earlier, said. "How did he know what to do? It's not like humans have our technology or knowledge." "I think it's more than that," replied another woman, this one with shimmering silver hair. "I've been thinking about it. Logan is different from most humans. He's not just intelligent. He's practical, resourceful. When something goes wrong, he doesn't panic like some of our people would." The conversation shifted from curiosity to genuine intrigue. Logan leaned back in his chair, pretending not to listen, but inside he smiled. Humans were often seen as emotional, impulsive creatures by the galactic species, but in truth, it was this very trait that often gave them an edge. Logan had witnessed it time and time again in his work. When faced with an obstacle, humans didn't always rely on the most advanced tools or methods. Instead, they used what they had, and they adapted quickly. And that was something Logan knew all too well. Growing up on Earth, he had learned to make do with whatever was available. When he first left his home planet, he had been shocked by how many advanced species relied on overly complicated technology to solve simple problems. On Earth, humans didn't have that luxury. They made do with what they had, and they often made the best of it. But it wasn't just resourcefulness that set humans apart. It was also their ability to form connections. Logan had seen it in his work with other species. Humans could empathize with beings who were vastly different from themselves. They could understand feelings and emotions that didn't make sense to anyone else, and this gave them a unique advantage when interacting with alien species. As the days passed, Logan continued to observe the alien women and their interactions with each other. Some of them had started to seek him out for advice. They wanted to know how humans dealt with certain challenges or how they managed emotions. It seemed that the more Logan spoke about his home planet, the more fascinated they became. One day, while walking through the Starliner's central plaza, Logan was approached by the emerald-skinned woman, the one who had mocked him during their first encounter. She seemed hesitant, almost uncertain of what to say. "You're different, Logan," she began, her voice softer than usual. "I've been thinking about what you said, the part about how being underestimated can be an advantage." Logan glanced at her, raising an eyebrow. "And?" he asked. She hesitated, then continued, "I think I understand now. There's something about humans that it's not just about technology. You have a kind of spirit. It's like you don't give up, no matter how hard things get. It's something none of us have seen before." Logan nodded, not surprised. It was something humans took pride in, this ability to persist. He had seen it throughout history, in moments of crisis when humanity refused to surrender. "We don't always win," Logan said, "but we keep going. We adapt. It's in our nature." The woman studied him, her eyes narrowing as if trying to read him more closely. Then, with a slight smile, she said, "I think I underestimated you, Logan. Your species, I mean." Logan chuckled softly. "It happens, but I'd say you're not alone in that." Their conversation was interrupted by the sudden arrival of an urgent message through the ship's intercom. The captain's voice, usually calm and composed, crackled through the speakers. "Attention, all passengers. We are approaching a newly discovered star system. We will be making an unscheduled stop to investigate. Please prepare for potential scientific expeditions. Further details to follow." The announcement caused a stir among the passengers. It was a rare opportunity, one that few would pass up. Logan, however, remained calm. This was what he had signed up for, a chance to learn more about the galaxy and its mysteries. As he made his way to the ship's science wing, he couldn't help but reflect on the strange interactions he had experienced in the last few days. The alien women, once so dismissive, were now looking to him for answers. They had seen something in him that they hadn't expected, a quality that no amount of advanced technology or knowledge could replicate. Humans weren't the most advanced species in the galaxy, but they were something else. Resilient, adaptable, and capable of understanding things that others couldn't. And Logan knew that, no matter how much the galaxy underestimated them, humanity's unique traits would carry them far. As the Celestura drew closer to the new star system, Logan couldn't help but feel a sense of excitement. The journey was far from over, and with each passing day, humanity's place in the galaxy became just a little bit more secure. The announcement of the star system discovery had caused a stir among the passengers of the Celestura. Logan was just one of many who found themselves drawn to the ship's science wing, where preparations for the unexpected stop were already underway. Everyone was eager to explore this new system, to uncover what mysteries it held. Logan, however, had a different goal in mind. He wanted to learn, not just from the system, but from the people around him. For the next few days, the ship's crew and passengers were busy with the preparations. Logan took the opportunity to speak with the other passengers, hoping to understand more about their worlds. Some were interested in Earth's humble history, others more curious about his interactions with the ship's advanced technology. But it wasn't until the announcement of the Primordial Challenge that Logan truly became a part of something bigger. The Primordial Challenge was a galactic competition designed to test the physical, mental, and emotional limits of participants from different species. Held once every few years, the challenge was considered the highest honor and a way to show the galaxy's might. The Celestura's crew had been invited to participate, and to Logan's surprise, the invitation included him. The captain, who had started to recognize Logan's value, had requested his participation. At first, Logan wasn't sure why he was selected. He wasn't the strongest or the fastest, nor was he particularly skilled in combat. However, he soon learned that the competition wasn't just about physical strength. It was about endurance, intelligence, and teamwork, qualities Logan possessed in abundance. The alien women who had once ridiculed him were the most vocal about their skepticism. "This is a challenge for the strongest and most skilled," one of them, the silver-haired woman, said with a dismissive glance. "I don't see how a human can contribute." Logan took the comment in stride. He had learned that in the galaxy, many beings assumed humans were weaker or less capable. He wasn't offended. He knew that their attitudes would change once they saw what humans could do. The challenge was about more than just winning. It was about showing the galaxy what humanity was truly made of. The day of the challenge arrived, and the entire ship buzzed with excitement. The competition would take place on a nearby asteroid, chosen for its hostile environment. Unstable gravity fields, extreme temperatures, and unpredictable terrain. It was a true test of survival. Logan and the alien women were grouped together on the same team, a mix of species from different worlds. The team was composed of the silver-haired woman, the green-skinned one, and a few others whose names Logan had yet to learn. They were an impressive group, each with their own unique strengths. The silver-haired woman was a master strategist, the green-skinned one an expert in physical endurance. But despite their abilities, they were still skeptical of Logan's place among them. The first round of the competition involved navigating through a series of obstacles on the asteroid's surface. The gravity shifts made it difficult to move, and the team had to adjust quickly. The alien women were quick to leap from rock to rock, their bodies adapted to the harsh environment. Logan, however, had a different approach. He didn't rely on brute strength or agility. Instead, he used his knowledge of the terrain to find the safest, most efficient path. As the team reached the halfway point, it became clear that Logan's strategy was working. The other members, who had initially moved ahead, were now struggling to keep up. Their energy was depleting, and they were beginning to make mistakes. But Logan's calm, methodical pace allowed him to conserve his strength, and as he moved forward, the others followed. "Wait," the green-skinned woman called, her voice filled with surprise. "You're not just running, you're thinking." Logan glanced back at her, a smile tugging at his lips. Sometimes, thinking is more important than rushing. It was a simple statement, but it was one that would begin to change the way they viewed him. The challenge was about more than physical abilities. It was about adaptability and intellect. And it was in these areas that Logan excelled. As they moved deeper into the competition, Logan continued to impress his teammates. He didn't show off or try to take credit. He just did what he knew best, applying Earth's unique approach to survival and problem-solving. By the time the team reached the final obstacle, an intense mental challenge that required solving a complex puzzle in the middle of a shifting canyon, the alien women were no longer dismissive of Logan. They were looking to him for guidance. Logan's calm demeanor and quick thinking allowed the team to navigate the puzzle in record time. They finished the round with the fastest time, and though the competition wasn't over, Logan knew that the true victory was already happening. As they took a brief break, the silver-haired woman, whose name Logan had finally learned was Varela, approached him. She looked at him with a new respect in her eyes, something Logan hadn't seen before. "I've been wrong about you, Logan," she admitted, her voice serious. "Your species is different. You're not just adaptable, you're resourceful. I see now that you're a force to be reckoned with." Logan simply nodded, grateful for her words but not interested in boasting. "We're all just trying to do our best. I think that's something all species can agree on." Varela smiled, her eyes filled with something more than just respect now. It was a growing understanding. The other members of the team, who had overheard the exchange, now looked at Logan with renewed interest. They had come to realize that there was more to humanity than met the eye. The challenge was far from over, but Logan could already tell that humanity was beginning to change the way the galaxy viewed them. And that was only the beginning. The primordial challenge was entering its final stages, and the team led by Logan was performing better than anyone could have imagined. The alien women, once so skeptical of Logan, were now beginning to see the strength in humanity's adaptability. Logan's strategy of thinking before acting had allowed them to tackle each obstacle methodically, making it through many of the toughest rounds with ease. They had already passed the physical trials and mental puzzles, and now the final test was a survival challenge. This last round would take place in a harsh, unpredictable environment. A dense, alien jungle full of unknown creatures, extreme weather conditions, and treacherous terrain. The goal was simple: Survive for 24 hours while navigating through the jungle to reach a designated point. The team with the highest survival rate would win. The stakes were high, and this time, the challenge wasn't about intelligence or agility. It was about pure endurance, survival skills, and how well each team could work together. As they prepared for the final leg of the competition, Logan could feel the intensity rising. He could tell that the alien women, who had once dismissed him as an outsider, now trusted him. It was a subtle shift, but it was there. They no longer treated him like the weak human who had stumbled into their world. They saw him as an equal. The team gathered at the edge of the jungle, each member readying their equipment and making final adjustments. Logan noticed that some of the women were still unsure of how to proceed. The dense underbrush would make it hard to move quickly, and there were reports of dangerous creatures living in the jungle's depths. The thought of facing these dangers was enough to make even the bravest hesitate. "We'll make it through," Logan said, looking around at his teammates. "But we need to stick together. Don't rush, and don't separate. We need to keep our focus." His voice was calm, but there was an underlying strength to it that made the others listen. The team nodded in agreement, their faces a mix of determination and respect. For the first time, they were relying on Logan's experience, not just his intellect. The jungle was unlike anything Logan had encountered before. Towering trees with bioluminescent flowers, thick vines that seemed to move on their own, and the constant hum of alien insects filled the air. The atmosphere was thick with humidity, making it hard to breathe, but the real danger lay deeper within. As they pushed forward, Logan kept his senses sharp, looking for clues in the environment. Tracks, broken branches, sounds that could indicate the presence of predators. The green-skinned woman, who had become one of his closest allies, spoke up. "I've been thinking about what you said before, Logan, about how humanity isn't just about strength or intelligence. It's about perseverance." Logan nodded. "That's right. We don't always have the best tools or the most powerful weapons, but we find a way to keep going." As they ventured deeper into the jungle, the team encountered their first real challenge. A massive, lumbering creature, its body covered in thick scales and sharp spines. The creature was grazing nearby, unaware of the team's presence. "This is a problem," Varela, the silver-haired strategist, said quietly. "We can't afford to fight it directly. It could overpower us." Logan agreed. "We don't need to fight it. We need to avoid it." He motioned for the team to stay still, and they crouched low, watching the creature carefully. Using his knowledge of Earth's animals, Logan noticed a subtle shift in the creature's movements. He knew from his research that most animals, especially large ones, would avoid any signs of human activity. They just needed to create enough noise to scare it away. "Follow my lead," Logan said softly. He picked up a large rock and threw it a distance away from the creature, creating a loud crash. The creature turned, its instincts telling it to flee from danger. As it lumbered off into the distance, the team took a collective breath. "That was clever," said the green-skinned woman, her voice filled with a mix of admiration and surprise. "I never would have thought of that." Logan just smiled. Sometimes the simplest solutions are the best. With the creature gone, the team pressed on. But the jungle was far from forgiving. The weather began to change, with sudden torrential rains flooding the ground. The air was thick with lightning and thunder, and the temperature dropped dangerously low. The alien women, who were built for extreme environments, still struggled to keep up with the harsh conditions. The storm was like nothing they had experienced before, but Logan remained calm. He had faced survival situations before, and he knew that panicking would only make things worse. He led the group to a sheltered area beneath a large, overhanging rock formation. It wasn't much, but it was enough to keep them dry for a while. "Rest here," Logan instructed. "We need to wait out the storm. It'll pass soon." As the group huddled together, Logan noticed how different the team felt now. The tension that had once existed between him and the others had melted away. They were working together as a unit, each person bringing their unique skills to the table. Logan was no longer the outsider. He was one of them. Virella looked at him, her eyes reflecting the flickering light from the storm. "You know," she said softly, "I was wrong about humans. I thought you were just lucky to make it this far. But now, I see you're more than that. You're a leader." Logan shook his head, his voice humble. "I'm just doing what needs to be done. But we're all in this together." As the storm raged outside, Logan felt a quiet sense of pride. The challenge had been tough, but they were surviving. And more than that, they were thriving. The final test was within reach, and Logan knew that, no matter what happened, humanity had already proven its worth in the galaxy. The storm had passed, leaving behind a quiet calm. The alien jungle was still, but the team knew better than to let their guard down. Logan's leadership had guided them so far, but the final leg of the challenge was approaching. The designated point wasn't far now, but the worst was yet to come. The jungle's unpredictable terrain, combined with the creatures that roamed it, would test the team's strength, resourcefulness, and unity. The rain had softened the ground, making it more difficult to move, but Logan and his team pressed on. He could tell that the other members were growing tired, but they didn't show it. There was a resilience in them now, a newfound respect for each other that made them work together in a way they hadn't before. "Stay close," Logan called to the team as they moved cautiously through the jungle. "We don't know what's ahead. Keep your eyes peeled for any signs of danger." Virella, who had once thought little of him, now walked beside him, her sharp eyes scanning the surroundings. "Logan," she said quietly, "I've been thinking about what you said before, the part about how humans always find a way to keep going. You really believe that, don't you?" Logan nodded, though he was focused on the path ahead. "It's not about giving up. No matter the odds, no matter how tough it gets, you keep going. You adapt. You learn. And if you can't figure something out on your own, you work together." Virella gave him a thoughtful look. "It sounds simple when you say it, but I think you're right. It's something I'd never really considered until now. That kind of persistence, it's admirable." The others were listening too, their expressions showing a deeper understanding of Logan's words. They had seen firsthand how his calm, collected approach had helped them through some of the most difficult parts of the challenge. As much as the alien species prided themselves on their advanced technology and physical abilities, they were beginning to recognize the value of what Logan brought to the team: human resilience. A sudden noise interrupted their conversation. Logan immediately motioned for the team to stop. He held up his hand, signaling them to remain still. His eyes scanned the thick jungle, looking for movement. A faint rustling came from behind a cluster of dense trees, followed by a low growl. Logan's heart raced, but his face remained calm. He knew the creature couldn't see them yet, but it would soon. He quickly signaled the team to move silently toward a large boulder nearby, hoping to stay out of sight. They were close now, so close to their destination, but this was no time to rush. The growl grew louder as the creature moved closer. Logan could make out its form, large and bulky, with glowing eyes that pierced through the dark. It was one of the predators they had been warned about, a fearsome jungle beast that relied on its keen sense of smell to track its prey. Logan's pulse quickened, but he didn't panic. Instead, he focused on what he had learned back on Earth, how to stay calm in the face of danger. "Stay low," he whispered. "Wait until it passes." The team crouched behind the boulder, holding their breath as the creature moved closer. Logan knew that the creature's senses were sharp enough to pick up even the slightest movement. It was a tense few minutes, with everyone frozen in place. Logan's mind raced, considering his options. They couldn't just wait forever. They had to move. Just as the creature began to move past them, Logan acted. He reached into his pack and pulled out a small device, a flare that he had made earlier using materials from the ship's supplies. He had thought ahead, knowing that a diversion could be useful in a situation like this. With one swift motion, he launched the flare into the air. The bright light shot upward, casting a brilliant glow over the jungle. The creature turned its attention toward the flare, distracted by the sudden light. "Now!" Logan shouted. The team quickly took advantage of the distraction, running swiftly and quietly through the jungle. The creature was momentarily blinded by the flare, giving them just enough time to put distance between themselves and the threat. Logan led them with steady confidence, guiding them through the thick brush and around the dangerous areas. As they pushed forward, the finish line was almost within reach. They could see the glowing marker that indicated the endpoint of the challenge in the distance. But there was one last obstacle to face, an enormous ravine that stretched between them and the finish line. The team halted in their tracks, staring at the vast gap before them. "This is it," Varela said, a hint of awe in her voice. "We made it this far, but how are we supposed to cross this?" Logan studied the ravine. It was wide, but not impossible. He spotted a series of jagged rocks that jutted out along the edge, leading across the gap. It wasn't a safe path, but it was the only one available. "We'll have to cross, one by one," Logan said, taking charge. "It won't be easy, but we can do it if we take our time." The team hesitated for a moment, uncertainty in their eyes, but then they followed Logan's lead. One by one, they carefully made their way across the treacherous rocks, their hearts pounding as they carefully balanced and jumped from one stone to the next. Logan went last, making sure that each of his teammates crossed safely before he did. When Logan finally reached the other side, he turned to face the team. There was no time for celebration yet. They still had a race to finish. But Logan couldn't help but feel a surge of pride. They had made it through the toughest part of the challenge, not because of their physical strength, but because they had worked together. They were a team now, and nothing would stop them from finishing what they had started. The last stretch of the journey was a test of endurance, but Logan and his team had reached the final moment of the primordial challenge. The endpoint was in sight. After days of battling harsh conditions, surviving wild creatures, and crossing treacherous terrain, they were close to victory. The jungle had tested them to their limits, but they had faced each challenge head-on, using their collective strengths to push forward. Now the finish line loomed just ahead, a glowing marker on a rocky plateau, surrounded by dense forest. Logan could hear his team's breathing, heavy with exhaustion, but there was no hesitation in their steps. They were focused, driven by the desire to finish what they had started. His leadership, which had once been questioned, was now firmly accepted by everyone on the team. They were a true unit now, more than just a group of competitors. They had become comrades. And no matter the outcome of the challenge, they had already proven something far more significant. They had shown the galaxy the strength of humanity. As they approached the finish line, a sudden voice echoed through the jungle, amplified by a speaker system that had been set up at the start of the competition. It was the voice of the Galactic Overseer, the entity that had organized the primordial challenge. "Congratulations, participants," the Overseer said. "You have made it to the final stage. But know this, the true test has just begun. You are now required to face the final trial. This trial will test not your bodies, but your character, your integrity, and your unity as a team. Only then will the winner be determined." The team stopped dead in their tracks, stunned by the announcement. Logan exchanged looks with Varela, who had been a key strategist throughout the competition. She was as confused as he was. "What is this final trial?" Logan asked, keeping his voice calm, though he felt a wave of uncertainty ripple through him. The Overseer's voice responded, cold and distant. "You must now make a choice. One member of your team will be required to step back from the challenge and forfeit the victory for the rest. Only through this act of sacrifice can your team win." The words hung in the air like a heavy weight. Logan's heart sank as he processed the meaning of the message. One person, one member of the team, would have to give up the glory of winning, just so the others could succeed. It was a test of selflessness, something that would challenge every individual's sense of loyalty and fairness. The team gathered together, huddling close as they tried to make sense of what they had just heard. Each person's face reflected uncertainty, but there was also a deep sense of resolve. They had come so far together, endured so much, and now this final test stood between them and the victory they had fought for. Varela spoke first, her voice quiet but steady. This isn't a decision to be made lightly. We all know what this means. It will test not just our strength, but the strength of our bonds as a team. Logan nodded, his mind racing. He knew how important this decision was. If someone were to step back, they would forever be part of this team's legacy. But the question lingered: who would step aside? And more importantly, who could make that sacrifice willingly? One by one, the team looked at each other, each person quietly contemplating the impossible decision. After a long silence, the green-skinned woman, who had been with Logan from the beginning, stepped forward. Her name was Lyra, and her eyes were filled with determination as she spoke. "I'll do it," Lyra said simply, her voice clear and strong. "I've been thinking about it. If one of us has to step aside for the others to win, it should be me. I know my strength, and I know I've given everything I could. But this is bigger than any one of us." The others were silent, taken aback by Lyra's decision. Logan could see that they were all considering her words. She was right, of course. The challenge had brought them together as a team, but they all knew that victory was never guaranteed by any single individual. It was a collective effort, one that required each member to make sacrifices when necessary. Varela, who had once been the most skeptical of Logan's leadership, stepped forward and placed a hand on Lyra's shoulder. "You are a true warrior, Lyra. Your sacrifice will not be forgotten. We will honor it. The victory we achieve will be your victory, too." Lyra smiled, her expression full of peace. "We're all in this together. And no matter who wins, we've proven something that can't be taken away from us." With Lyra's selfless decision made, the team moved forward. The finish line was just ahead, but the act of sacrifice had already given them a victory of their own. As they approached the marker, the overseer's voice echoed once again. "Congratulations, team. You have passed the final trial. Your unity and selflessness have shown the galaxy that true strength comes not from individual glory, but from the bonds you share with those around you. The victory is yours." The glowing marker lit up brighter than before, signaling the team's triumph. Logan looked at his teammates, their faces filled with a sense of fulfillment. They had faced impossible odds, and now they stood at the end of the challenge, united, stronger than ever before. Lyra turned to Logan, her eyes gleaming. "We did it. We showed them who we are. Humanity has a place in this galaxy, and we've proven it." Logan smiled, the weight of the journey lifting from his shoulders. "We've all proven it," he said, his voice filled with pride. Together. And as they stood there, the galaxy now watching, they knew that this victory was just the beginning. Humanity had taken its place among the stars.